I'm grateful for the justice system, and my heart just really breaks for their families, and I'm just grateful for the justice that is being served now. And so as far as my brother is concerned, I haven't spoken to him, like you said, and I think until there's major change, I'd say that will probably still be my stance. Just um,
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Monday, January 30th, 2023. I actually finished a video up about Jinger earlier today, and then after I uploaded the video, this other article comes out by the page 6 from the New York Post, and it's Jinger talking in more depth about her brother Josh. And I actually was thinking about how I got a message from a person that has a loved one at Seagaville who had let me know about a visit that Josh had with Anna on Friday. And then a comment was left on my post, my last video about Jinger, about another loved one who apparently was at Seagaville over the weekend, and Anna was there again. So I thought I could tie this all together into one video about how Josh Duggar will never change as long as he follows the rules of the IBLP, because there's no accountability for him. And Jinger explains that as such in her new interview with the Post. So it all kind of ties together. And apparently Miss Anna, who was there on Friday by herself and then another day with her sister Priscilla, was driving David Waller's car and is spending all this time with Josh, effectively abandoning her kids so that she can be with her husband that has done horrible things. It's really sad if you think about it, the priorities that these people have. And if I were Jinger, with what she just told page 6, I also wouldn't want anything to do with him for a variety of reasons, but that would be one of them. It also appears as though a question that was asked Jinger about her relationship with Anna, that she doesn't talk to Anna because she danced around whether or not she speaks to her instead of answering the question directly. So we're going to dive into this whole video of multiple different topics and Josh Duggar crying at visiting on Friday. Yeah, okay. Before we dive into today's topic, please give this video a thumbs up if you love this kind of content. Hit the subscribe button down there if you would like to subscribe. Turn notifications on by clicking on the bell and make sure that you set your notifications to all so you never miss a video. And make sure to leave a comment if you have something to say, and as always, share this video with your friends. So I have had a couple loved ones of inmates reach out over the last several months that have seen Anna at visitation, that have heard through the grapevine about what's been going on with Josh, and the visitors that go and see Josh and the interactions that they have with him. And it's obvious, as I showed with the pictures, that one of the last times that Anna had visited up until this weekend was with all of her children. And now she's gone back to Texas, and this time she's with her sister on one day and she is by herself on another day, but she's with Josh. And apparently this time, according to the source I spoke to, Anna was all done up. She was wearing really nice clothes. She had her hair done. She was wearing full makeup, very different than the previous time when I reported that she was there with her kids. And this time, she and Josh were fully engaged in a conversation. They saw her kiss and hug Josh when they got there, and she had her wedding ring on and Josh did not. Now, when I spoke to the individual on Friday, what they had told me was that Josh was distraught while Anna was there, and they were like in a very intense sort of conversation. Their eyes were down. They were not looking around. There wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like they weren't, it wasn't jovial, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Josh was crying, they said, like he was wiping away tears. I don't know if it's because Josh got news from the appeals court that they denied a prisoner's appeal under similar circumstances in the exact same court as his appeals on January 18th, but Josh was not happy. So in Ginger's interview with Page 6, she talked about her relationship with Josh and really like where things are today, which you saw in the very beginning, that she said that things are nowhere, basically, and she doesn't have a relationship with him. And then they further expanded on that and even talked about Anna.
This time is, I think it's good that justice is being served, and so, yeah, I just pray that he would ultimately change in the long run. But yeah, I'm grateful for this time.
Ginger's like visibly doesn't, she looks so uncomfortable. And I don't, I don't blame her. I'm sure that when you've written a book like this, the last thing that you want to do is talk about your brother. But the climate that we're in, and knowing what happened to her as a child, and knowing that she spoke out publicly, and knowing that she wrote about him in the book, it's going to be a topic of conversation. And this line of discussion is literally from them asking about what she wrote about her brother in the book. And she's clearly uncomfortable. She doesn't necessarily, and I think rightfully so, I think she doesn't want to share too much, but it's clear that she said, like, I'm really happy that he got justice now, like this time. She said that a couple times, as though like he got away with it once and now he didn't get away with it again, and that she's glad that he can't hurt anyone, and she doesn't know if he's going to be able to change. And the interesting thing is, like, I don't know if I were her that I'd ever want to have a relationship with him, and I wouldn't care if he changed. My relationship with him would have been over. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion.
Do you still communicate with his wife and kids?
I am always here for his wife and kids. If they need anything at all, I hope that they would know that they can come to us. And I know my heart just breaks for them as well.
If you remember back when Jeremy and Ginger did their statement after the conviction, they didn't even mention Anna by name. They really didn't. And in this case, he says his wife and kids, and she says his wife and kids. And she really doesn't answer the question. She says, if they ever need anything, we will be there for them. But I don't believe she's on speaking terms with Anna, because I don't believe any of the sisters are on speaking terms with Anna, because Anna has been horrible to the sisters because they spoke out against Josh. Because Anna believes that a negative report against a loved one is a sin against God. Because Anna buys into these beliefs that you have to do all of these things on an outward thing in that outward world designed by Gothard, and that after all of that, you'll get to heaven, right? She believes Gothard's rules, and she believes that she's been disloyal, Ginger, for not being there for Josh, who's the victim in this, right? He's not the victim. And Anna doesn't want to admit to herself that Josh did these things because she doesn't want to admit he's a monster, I don't think. And it just brings me back to the fact that she is still going to this place. She is still seeing him constantly. She left her kids alone for the whole weekend. I'm sure maybe they're with her in Texas, but someone else is watching the kids so she can go spend hours, like 8 hours, to visit her husband. On the first day, she goes there by herself. All of her makeup is done up. The person I talked to said it felt so phony and so fake, like she knew that Anna had seen the coverage of her leaving and looking disheveled, and that she somehow had to put a show on for everyone to prove people wrong. And on the next time that they come back, it's this weekend, and she's with her sister, apparently. Someone left this comment, and this must have been for visitation yesterday. They said, I went to visitation at this weekend to see my relative that's serving time there. Josh and Anna and her sister were present in the visitation hall while I was there. The children were not present this time around. Josh looked like he had lost a little bit of weight, and I've heard this from someone else that they think he's lost probably 10 pounds since December. They said they sat together facing each other without much physical interaction beyond talking and hugs. There was no kissing that I saw. So no kissing. And it says there was a shouting match that happened at the end of visitation between the guards and one of the families present. Anna and her sister had startled looks on their faces during this incident. I did not see what Josh's reaction was because once visitation is over, the inmates are expected to say goodbye to their families and then stand off to the side while everyone leaves. They're waiting to go through a strip search before they can go back to their units. The shouting match was over the guards having an attitude with the members of one of the inmates' families who took exception and claimed that the guards were being rude to them and treating them like they were inmates when in fact they're civilian members of the public. The guard wrote them up and most likely suspended their visitation privileges. Anna and her sister just seemed startled and taken aback by all of it. They were both dressed in church attire while Josh wore his compound attire, khaki shirt and pants that's mandatory for all the inmates when they go to visitation. This time she brings in reinforcements, her sister and Priscilla to this event. I'm sure, got to bring in cult reinforcements to keep him in the fold. And as long as Josh is around and surrounded by Anna, who's deeply indoctrinated, and Anna continues to be around David and Priscilla, they're going to stay in the IBLP. They're going to stay in this system. There's no incentive for him to actually change. And Jinger, at the sort of the end of this interview, explains exactly what I'm saying by this. There's no incentive for him to change.
You say, oh, if you do something outwardly, you have this outward rule set up that's a man-made rule. It's going to keep you from sin. It's going to keep you from whatever harm. It's not true. That will never change you. So I think if you go into life believing that, it's only going to, the real true you is going to come out. And I think that's sadly what has happened.
Basically, what she's saying is that because of the way that Gothard set up the rules in the IBLP, there's literally no incentive for him to change because he doesn't have to change, because the rules are set so that everything is from an outward perspective. There's nothing about him having to evaluate who he is on the inside and change the way that he is to have different desires or different wants. Now, she says the real change comes through the gospel. My argument would be there is no change for Josh because he's a psychopathic sociopath that doesn't care about anyone else. He lacks the ability to feel emotion for anyone, and he doesn't need anything but his desires. He has no incentive to change because of who he is ingrained. She says God will change him. I don't think anything will change him, frankly. That's just my opinion. But because of the way that this is set up, Gothard puts in all these rules. He also puts in all these guards around the behaviors that Josh can then use to justify what he's done. He has excuses put into place of, it wasn't my fault, it was their fault for being in this place at this time, and this is why this happened, and it's not my fault because I'm the man, it's not my fault because this, and then if you give them the rules, like Anna, say Anna and Priscilla are going there now, and they're there and trying to keep him in the fold and keep him on track, and this is what you're supposed to be doing, and as long as you do these things, you're going to be changing. And that's the thing, is that for years, that's all people have done to Josh, is just follow these rules, and you'll change. But Josh never wanted to change. He doesn't want to change. He doesn't care to change. And that's what she's saying, is like, he can do all of these things, he can follow these rules, but he doesn't have to change because he's not changing from the inside out. He's just doing things for the sake of doing things because he thinks he has to do it, and his real behavior is shining through. When you have all of these people around you enabling you and allowing you to do these things and telling you it's really not your fault, Josh, that this happened, it's the fault of Satan, or it's the fault of the victims, or it's the fault of, somebody exposed you to something, or it's this person's fault, or it's your wife's fault. It's because if she would have been a better wife, you wouldn't have had to be looking at that stuff. I mean, that's the kind of rules that are put into place. And when Jinger was speaking about in an interview about how Gothard would use it's your fault that you had that painting on the wall, and that's why your husband died at sea. It's your fault that you had this idol in your house. It's Anna's fault that she wasn't submissive enough. It was Anna's fault that she didn't give in to what Josh wanted sexually. It was Anna's fault that she wasn't giving him what he wanted constantly. It's never his fault. And so it creates people that don't have to have accountability, and particularly men in this world, they never have to change. In the case of Josh, it's just the rules mixed with probably him having some kind of mental illness, whether he's a narcissist, whether he's a psychopath, whether he's a sociopath, whether he's, I don't know. He has no empathy for anyone. And I think the truth is that he has a lot of enablers. And I think the cult keeps him enabled. And I think he doesn't need to change because the cult will continue to find ways to protect him and explain away his actions, which again is what you're seeing now is his true self. Everyone thinks they have the answer for how to fix Josh, but no one's actually provided any help that's actually meaningful to him. What's happened with Josh and what happened with a lot of the men in this group and the kids that grew up in this system is that they were bred to be predators because they grew up believing they were entitled to women. And then add the fact that Josh had access to all of these people. He had probably a lack of connection to his parents because they had so many kids. He's probably, it's a trick. There's the cycles of abuse within families. There's his dad is a narcissist. He might be a narcissist because of that. There's a million different reasons why Josh is the way that he is. And yes, the system keeps him the way that he is. And Josh will use the system because it benefits him. Josh might not even believe half the crap that's in this. I mean, he's proven that he doesn't care about these beliefs because he will go outside of those beliefs to levels that are more depraved than the average person in this system. He will do crimes that he thinks that he can get away with because everyone around him enabled him. That's Josh. He'll never change. And Ginger's wise to not want to have a relationship with him. And Ginger's clearly knows that he's been using this cult to keep him protected and enabled. And I would be not having a conversation with his wife either, if she's going to stay in that either. So Anna doesn't have relationships with his sisters because it's not because Anna's distancing herself. It's the sisters that know that she's toxic in this toxic cult, in this toxic culture. And that unless and until she decides to leave, there's nothing they can do. And Anna, for her part, is going to just keep putting on the appearances and getting done up and looking the part and being the dutiful wife and doing everything that she can. Meanwhile, her kids are being neglected. Her kids are being subject to a mother that is probably feeling horrible about herself, thinking it's her fault, thinking that she did something wrong, feeling like she's never good enough. And then they're growing up in an environment where they have so many kids that they're not getting the attention they need. They're growing up without a father now. They're growing up without a mother because she's miserable and she's spending her time with him and worried about him. This is no life. And I don't blame Ginger for not talking to them. So if you are a loved one that goes and sees your loved one and happens to run into Anna, you can always send us tips at withoutacrystalball.com, and tips@withoutacrystalball.com is my email. What are your thoughts about this latest interview and Josh crying? Why do you think Josh was crying? I think Josh knows he's not getting out of prison. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Bye, guys.